see if I just started it over. Let's see if this fixes it. I don't know what's going on here. Well, let's do the intro here. See if it pops up. Oh, they can hear us. I hear it on me talking. What is going on, All Terrain Nation? We're going to try this again. This is a classic show, so I see it playing now. So, guys, if you just joined us on the other stream, I apologize. My computer's been a little glitchy today, Danny. I don't know what's going on, but whoo, we're here. Oh, there's Raul. We got a couple classics are coming in here. Guys, welcome to the pickup truck world, man. If it can go wrong, you're in the right business, I guess, because Anyways, you didn't hear the nice intro we gave Tim, but so we've known Tim for quite a while, and Tim's kind of been our chaperone into the YouTube world of sorts. Like I stupidly got into this thing, and Tim pointed out, he's like, "Hey, dude, you're doing all this wrong." I was like, "Really?" So, but it's been a great friendship, and Tim, we are damn glad to have you on. If we can hear you now. Yay!
Can you hear me now?
You're so in.
Oh, man.
I mean, I got the Pony Express to come out and give me extra Wi-Fi out here, so I think we're fine.
I don't know what's going on, and I don't care, man, because we are going to talk Ford trucks tonight. And Tim, if you guys don't know, and I don't know how you wouldn't know, if you're part of my audience, I'm sure you've been over at Tim's channel, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. And Tim, you were about to buy a new truck for your show, which is kind of a new thing for you. You do all kinds of reviews and stuff for GM. Everybody's always sending you out trucks, but you were like, "Hey, my show needs to actually buy one."
Yeah, it's been an interesting discussion I've had for a while. Something I've thought about for the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year. And then I went to see my tax advisor, and she was like, hello. You need to buy a truck.
Yeah. Why have you not spent money?
I talked to the wife about things, and I was like, you know what? I've never in my life, in my adult life, had wife, tax advisor, and like my business all lined up to say, dumbass, go buy a truck. Like that never happens. It never happens that way.
Right?
But in this case, all the signs are green. Like everything's like, you need to buy a truck, and it's been rewarded by the audience. So every time I do a video on buying a truck, the views skyrocket and the interest skyrockets. And so it's like people are interested. And, you know, from my vantage point, it's probably dumb from a journalist standpoint to own a vehicle because I get so many press loans a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to get a Tahoe tomorrow, and I'll go 6 straight weeks with a press loan outside my house.
Oh, nice.
The press loan you get for 7 days, and you drive it for the 7 days, you do a review on it, and that's what you do.
Right.
And so I used to own a Tundra when I first started, and I sold it because it sat along the house for 6 months, didn't even drive it. And that's just what happens. But press loans have pros and cons in that if there's something I want to do with it, if something I want to go, let's say I really want to get up to Kalispell, Montana again. That's 1,000 miles. You can't take a press loan that far.
Yeah.
They just don't allow that.
Yeah.
And we want to go camping next summer. You know, this COVID situation really set things into perspective on, you know, we did tent camping a couple of years. We didn't tent camping on Memorial Day. I took the tent, I put it in the bag, I walked over to the trash can, I threw it away. So that phase in our life is kind of over. It's time to do something different. And so, you know, to do that, I need a truck to pull it. And I think that the I guess last thing on this is that I really do love trucks. I really do love driving trucks all the time. It's just something that's great about having a truck. You know, it's funny every time like I get a power wagon, I don't have anything in my life I need to winch, but I get a power wagon and some bitch I got to do like 10 jobs with the winch. I need it immediately. Like, you know, it's just
Exactly.
with a truck too. It's like I have my 62. I drive around and he's great, but it's like there's a trailer at the farm. I need to take one of the trucks to recycling. I need to get rid of this truck. It's a parts truck, and it's sitting on a trailer. I've been sitting there for 6 weeks now because I'm waiting for the right vehicle. Well, you know what? I don't want to wait anymore. I want to get a vehicle, get a truck, and do it. And I think the other thing is that, you know, as you've watched the videos and the people who watch the channel, they know I'm not biased at all. So I'm literally just buying something that's good for the business and then going from there. And it's fun to go truck shopping. I've learned a lot about different packages of trucks. Like I've known a lot about trucks for the years. So I've done all the events and press, some stuff. But I think when you go to buy a truck, you really do learn more than you possibly would as a journalist. And
What does
as a journalist, I'm a very curious person, so it's really fun. It's really good to do that.
But do you find that doing this for over 10 years that when you get a press loan, and I know the few things I've gotten, like you're looking for the quick hits about it and then move on. And now that you actually have to purchase a new vehicle, like, oh man, I need to look, how does this really, really fit into my family's life?
Yeah, it's something you have to live with, right? Like for quite a while. I mean, years at least, right?
Well, actually, it's funny. In my case, I'll be flipping trucks every year, and
Right.
it's purely from a business standpoint, having the 2020 versus 2020 and 2021, 2021. It'd be great to use this truck as a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And so, from a business standpoint, also from a tax reasons, it makes a lot of sense for me to buy a truck every year. So it's kind of been interesting, um, because that changes my viewpoint on buying as well. Like my list of trucks to buy flips when I look at reliability, and it flips back when I look at latest and greatest. But it is true when you own a truck, you 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 get to live with it more. Like this sounds funny, but I can't wait to leave a pair of sunglasses in a truck and have them always be in a truck.
Right.
Like I joke with people that I need to get one of those like personal care bags, the little bags, and put sunglasses and like maybe some tissues or whatever in this little
Oh
bag,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
cart that around every press loan because you guys get in your trucks like a daily basis and you're like, hey, I'm gonna grab my sunglasses, I'm gonna grab this. Man, I get in the press loan, I'm like, I don't have shit in here, and I gotta go.
You got
I'm like,
you gotta have like 7 face masks in all of my
yeah,
vehicles.
yeah.
I got in the center console. You got your chapstick and like tissue is a huge, whether it's like a paper towel or napkin. You spill a little coffee or something, you got to wipe it up. Yeah, that's something that like I mean in rentals, like if I have a rental or whatever, I'm like, oh, I gotta grab a bunch of stuff to stick in this thing if I'm going on a road trip or whatnot,
Right.
because it's a thing, right? Like having all of your
Yeah.
the little extra things that
Well, and
on your
then we
personal
all
vehicle
have
that you for
kids
sure have.
too. So we all have
Oh
kids,
yeah.
and kids spill things or they do things, and yeah. In the press loan,
I,
like I was scared to put my family in any of my press loans.
I once killed a rattlesnake with a 5 iron because all I had in my vehicle was a 5 iron for my golf set. That's actually a true
Great
story.
story.
No, but I mean, and the thing too is, it's like I don't think that gets played up as much is that I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really am excited to buy a truck. Like to me, in the past 10 years, trucks have changed so much, and they become so much more reliable. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, internal combustion engine has never been more reliable than it is today. Now, is it more expensive to fix? Yeah, because you have sensors and you have computer, whatever. But I tell people, I said I own a 50-year-old truck. Yeah, easy to work on, but I'm always working on it.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
nice to
Everything
get in
about
the
it
truck and have to work on.
basically needs to be fixed. And it's just whatever's actually failing hard, like the worst, right?
Yeah. Oh
You have
yeah,
to
yeah.
pick and choose what you're replacing or fixing on it. Like even my 14, which is a 14 Nissan, it's a very reliable truck, but there's little things not falling apart, but there's little things that need attention here and there, whatever. And compared to a more recent, I mean, a new truck, you just drive it. You
I
don't have
know.
to worry about anything at all
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
unless
that's
there's a recall.
definitely yeah. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to do more road tripping. Like I think one of the things that I don't do enough is road trips because with a press
Yeah.
loan, it's advanced notice and approvals and yada yada yada, and it's a pain in the butt. But like I said, from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't have long term ownership, but a 30-day. Hey, what do I think of 30 days?
Yeah.
What do I think after 6 months? Doing a comparison, like I get a GMC Sierra. Uh, I think it's AT4 something like the week before Christmas. And so kind of my target then is to have the Ford before then. Well, I have to have the Ford in my driveway by December 31st. It's got
Right.
to be in my driveway in possession.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that'd be a great comparison. It's something that as a small outlet as myself and one person operation, it's really hard to do comparisons because the plan set to line. I mean, things got to work out just perfect for
Yeah.
that week.
Right.
And so it's like I'm excited for that. I'm excited to actually get, because when you get two trucks together and really go over the details, new things come out at you that you may not have thought of before.
Well, and we talked about your the comparison you did of the Honda Ridgeline versus, was it the GMC that you had with
Yeah,
there?
it was a GMC Sierra AT4 half ton, and the funny thing with that video is I got a lot of crap in that video.
Yeah.
And probably rightfully
You don't
so.
say.
People are like,
You don't-
why don't you do a Canyon instead? Why don't you do a Colorado instead? I'm like, buddy, if it was in my driveway, I would have done it.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
have happened. But, I didn't have my driveway. The Chevy dealership in town doesn't seem like to return my calls. It wasn't a situation I could do. But I have found I have gotten more feedback, positive feedback from that video, because it turns out that people in the truck world think that we're truck guys would think they'd go and compare these type of vehicles together. I mean, half ton, midsize. But in the real world, the consumers buying stuff, that's not the way things work out. I remember I was in, it's going to sound like I'm privileged or something. I was in a bar in Hawaii with the Toyota Lexus head PR guy, and we're having drinks at a place in
So
golf.
there I was.
I know.
That's a good
But
one. I like it.
And this is how my channel actually got to start. One of the reasons I got started was I was there, we're having drinks, and a guy next to me starts talking to me, and we start talking a little bit about trucks. Well, if you know me, I'm a very passionate truck guy, and so you start talking about trucks, it's an hour and a half later. Well, it turns out I went for like 45 minutes. I didn't pause, and I looked around, and the bar staff was watching me talk at this point. This guy. Then result was the guy who told Alexa PR, he was astonished. He's like, yeah, you need to start a podcast ASAP. He says, this is dumb. He goes, you just talk 45 minutes without stopping about trucks. And people were captivated by this, watching it. But the guy traded in his Ram 1 ton with a Cummins diesel in it with a dually for a Toyota Tacoma, because he thought the Tacoma was faster off the line.
Wow.
That's a big
I put
move.
that lesson, in my hat, whatever, and it occurred to me that sometimes I think we're a little snobbish, maybe to the outsiders, because we only compare what we consider apples to apples, and I think a lot of consumers compare what they think are apples to apples. And I've got a lot of comments in that video from people that said, "Yeah, I was actually comparing a Sierra with the Honda Ridgeline," and it wasn't like they were comparing the capacity, towing, and stuff like that. They were comparing it from a lifestyle standpoint. Which truck do I really need? Do I really need the half ton, or would a midsize work? And the shocking part of that video was that the Honda Ridgeline had more payload capacity than the half ton Sierra.
That's crazy. And but
because the Sierra was AT4 with the diesel, I mean, it sucked up the payload. But yeah.
Well, but that's what's funny is especially the big three guys, and generally me and Danny have been more of an import guy, but the big three guys would never ever see that Honda as anything like, oh, there's no way that competes anywhere with our truck. And then you're like, yeah, it actually does for what it is.
Well, and I will say, obviously, I've said some terribly nasty things about the Honda Ridgeline in my past.
Shame on you.
And I know that you're a bit of a Honda Ridgeline guy, but
I wouldn't say he's a Ridgeline guy.
Well, I mean, you're more of a Ridgeline guy. For a truck guy, you're a Ridgeline advocate. Would you put it that far?
I would. To me, the Ridgeline is a very much a lifestyle vehicle, and I think it gets a lot of crap unnecessarily. But I think when you start looking back at what Honda was trying to do, I think they did a good job on it.
That's fair. And for what it is, it's probably good. I think you have a lot more experience with it, of course. But yeah, and I'm one of the guys that would give you a ton of crap for that, being mostly uneducated on it, but from more of a like that they could never do what all my truck can do, or whatever. But at the same token, I still I really enjoy crapping at the Ridgeline. You know what I'm saying?
I think rightfully so. I mean, the thing with the Ridgeline is, it has a frame, which when I did that story, that really blew people away. And B, it does the washboards better than any midsize truck out there, on a stock midsize truck. Now, if you do the Pro 4X, if you do the TRD Pro, if you do the off-road with off-road suspension, a different story. But I've driven that truck across dirt roads and washboards, and it does an amazing job. The
How
interior
fast did you
stuff,
drive?
45 to 55. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't slow
All
down on
right.
dirt
All
roads.
right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
I always bust people's chops about those because really, like, no matter what you drive, unless you pick up some serious speed with something that has a little bit of suspension, it's gonna suck no matter what on washboard. So you have to drive at speed on washboard.
right, right.
That's like my biggest thing when I lead trails, when I'm going off road. I'm like, listen, guys, we got a long way of washboards right now. If you don't keep up with me, your truck's gonna fall apart. It's just you're gonna rattle your brains out, and you have to drive quick on this because you have to. If you're just sitting there bouncing around on them, you're gonna lose your teeth.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to have speed. I mean, those shocks don't respond unless you have some speed in there. That's, the dampener's
Yeah,
working, but until you get, shock fade, then that's nobody's friend. Because you're like, oh
yeah,
shit,
that's true.
it's not responding the way it was.
Yeah,
Wait a minute, am I getting
exactly.
tired? What's going on? Yeah, I don't, I just think for what it is, it did fine. I think the biggest thing was it looked terrible and the interior was terrible. And, you know, I, it's such a funny thing, but the damn volume knob just pisses me off. Like I don't want to take a,
I
I want
love
to touch it like a touch screen. Like I got enough damn touch screens around here. Like give me a damn
Yeah.
knob. I
Well,
mean,
I think the industry as a whole has learned that was real trendy, real quick for the whole let's just touch the screen, and now they're all going back to a knob.
Yeah, if
yeah,
you want to just crank it real quick, right? You just
right,
need a
right, yeah.
knob, like the whole. And back in the day when we just went from like you started to see the decks that would come up or whatever, and it was all
Oh
touch
yeah.
screen. And oh, I remember like all the aftermarket stereos was like that, and then you're like, oh, this is the coolest thing. It was like flip up, and you're like, oh, this is sick, and you're like, deep 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 deep.
Yeah.
You're like, I just want to crank the song, man.
Yeah.
This is my jam, and you're like, deep deep.
Then the song's over, and you got to
Yeah,
rewind the
yeah.
cassette tape.
The song's halfway over, and you're like, "Nah."
Well, I was that same thing though. So with the Bronco that I'm looking to buy, that was like one of the things me and the wife were talking about. It's like I don't like the 12-inch screen they're putting in those now is amazing in Ford, and all the Ford stuff they're going to go to that 12-inch screen, amazing. But at the end of the day now, like radios and stuff, to me, I'm just like eh. And I'm an ex-musician, so I want my stuff to sound great. But anymore, like any of that stuff is just what it is. It's a screen, and as long as there's a knob, and other than that, I don't care. Like the whole touch and all that, I'm over with. I don't. The future's
You
here.
know, I mean, that's been a tough thing with buying this truck.
I bet.
So, on the one hand, the channel's doing well enough. I could go buy whatever I want to buy. I mean, I'm not really that worried about it. I mean, the
Look at
channel's
Baller
the
Tim.
channel's doing fine.
Yeah,
but
dang.
but on the other side, I don't want to just buy
Yeah.
that Raptor, that TRX, because that's not the market. I want to buy the volume of the market. And so I've spent more time researching whether I have bench seats or bucket seats. I spent an absurd amount of time trying to understand Ford's freaking packages, which are just
Oh my
Right?
God.
insane.
And
To understand what the hell I get bucket seats or bench seats. I mean, what a stupid thing to think about. But I mean, I want a bucket. I have bench seat in my 62, and I don't like it because the cup holder at the like slides around, and somebody wants to get in there, so I got to pull it out and put it back in the garage. I'm like, no. I want bucket seats. So I can put my cup holder in there, have my center console to throw my Kleenex or whatever I'm throwing there, and I'm done. And that's the thing that's frustrating. I was like, I think I would actually do a video on how stupid it is trying to buy a damn Ford truck and figure out the packages. I think that'd be a really good video because that's something I've learned, and as a journalist, I can step away from things a little more, and I guess the average consumer can. I can point at things and say, I don't give a crap about 302. I don't know what 302 means, and I don't know what low, high, and medium means. And why is it when I click on high, it says I have heated front seats?
right.
Does that mean heated bench seat or heated bucket seats? And I've been emailing Ford's PR person, Don McKenzie, who's a great person. And I think Don's getting mad at me sometimes because I'm seriously asking questions like, does that mean this is the weird part too. You can get an XLT with a 302A high, which means you get bucket seats and a console shifter. But if you go to the sport package, you get the console shifter.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere on the site that says that.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Well, I think Ford's gotten their ass handed to them about their build price anyways, because the Bronco guys, like, because I will say with Bronco, and this is why I know your problems with that, is with Bronco, they launched this build and price thing that if you do one option, like you're saying, it takes something else away that doesn't make any sense, that I guarantee when I go order it, they'll go, oh, no, you can do this. But they're getting all these people now, the Jeep guys are coming to buy a Bronco, and they're getting frustrated at Ford's build and price. Like, it's ridiculous. For one, all the options. There's too many options in buying a vehicle anymore. Like, and it comes down to I want a good tech package. I want this, a nice screen that when you touch it, it actually works. I want 4-wheel drive for me, and then after that, it's like, I don't care.
Well, and I think that's one of the most surprising things I've learned during the process is that I thought that Ford's 2.7 liter the V6 with them, inline four with Chevy, V6 with them, same damn displacement liters, but different engines. Dumb, but I don't think much of the engine. Yeah. I think it's a commuter type of truck. It's not a towing truck. It's a cheap V6, right? It's what the 3.3 liter inline six was, or the V6 was supposed to be replaced. I was stunned at how many Ford dealers are buying this truck with that engine.
Yeah.
It's all over the country. And I talked to my local Ford dealer about it, and he said he doesn't even order the base V6 anymore, the 3.3. He buys the 2.7 because the fleet guys like the turbos. They don't care about fuel economy. It's like the turbos. And I was really surprised by that. Like, and I think that's the other takeaway is like when an auto journalist, goes to buy a truck, right? I mean, that's kind of the name of the segment is that, I drive so many of the latest and greatest, newest things, all the packages, all that kind of stuff. But when you actually go to dealerships and see what's actually available, what the dealers are ordering, and what people are actually buying, it's such a big disconnect. And I know that I've led this disconnect for years because of what press vehicles I got. I know I've been part of the problem, but I have tried hard to get base level trucks at times. I've done some XLT, STX package kind of stuff, and I've done some things like that to try to get more of the average guy's truck. I can tell you that buying that base level truck, it's still pretty damn good. It still is pretty damn good. I mean, I know it's expensive. It's $55,000. I'm going to spend. I'll be lucky to get a truck under 60. That's what I mean, that's a lot of money.
Isn't that really crazy? Because my last F-150 I bought was an XLT. It was a basic truck, 5-speed V6, and it was like $14,000. And now, granted, that was the 90s, but I'm for them to jump like trucks to become. They're profit machines for these companies now is all they are. And they know people will buy them and people want to be off the ground now. And so all these manufacturers are taking advantage of it because nobody gets this. There's the same amount of metal in that thing as there is in something else, a commuter car or something. When they base it down to what it is, the wires, engine, like if you really figured the cost of it, like they're just rimming people right now on what the price of trucks are.
They are, but I mean, part of the problem with that is the standard safety equipment there is these days.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
We all have those stickers, right? That says "No airbags, we die like real men." Right? I mean, that's the way the trucks were back in the day. I mean, I had a 1990s S10. I think I had power locks was the biggest thing. I maybe had an airbag. I mean, it was like that was it. So now it's like these trucks, like you will survive a 15-car collision when the wrecking ball smashes through your cab.
Yeah, right. If you make a hard left on the middle of the freeway, there is a 75% survivability chance.
Not even survivability. You will walk away from the accident. You'll
walk away, and you may make money if you bought the gap coverage.
I remember my dad was with GM for years and years, and he would talk all the time about the cost of trucks, and he would bitch about it. And he worked at GM. I mean, he was in future product planning. I mean, he did a lot of kind of stuff. And his biggest beef was the now standard safety equipment. Think about this: backup cameras are now standard safety equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
automakers are not absorbing that cost. They're just pushing that down the line, right? And so you have ABS brakes, you have airbags, you have frontal crash avoidance systems, you have sensors, things like that. I mean, that's all standard equipment. I made a rant about autonomous vehicles, and I said in the rant that all this autonomous vehicle safety equipment just means we pay more money.
Yeah.
They're spending millions in this stuff that you may want or may not want, but you're going to have it. And that's what happens a lot with like buying a new truck is like I have to. So the F1T I'm looking at the XLT, because the XL is the base, but the XLT is the volume seller. I have to have backup trailer assist. If you don't know what this is, it's a little knob,
Yeah.
and you turn it left, turn it right, and instead of turning the steering wheel the opposite direction, this knob does it for you. I mean, that's basically what happens, right? And I have to have that. I cannot buy a new F-150 XLT with the towing package at all without that.
Well,
And so the towing package, I get the Class 4 receiver, and I get the backup trailer assist. Yay! I mean, so I have no choice, and that's the thing. That is increasing the price of the truck, whether you want it or not.
right. Well, and then you get the government involved in all this, and it's a bunch of guys that do not know. All they know is somebody died in a car crash, and so they're going to instantly mandate something. Which I think backup cameras and all that are great additions, but then they're just forcing these guys into things like why are we in little turbos now? And now I am a old school V8 guy. I want a big engine, but I do want it to get somewhat fuel economy. But now for environmental reasons or whatever they want to say it is, it's like they're forcing these guys to get into all these tiny little engines and like you were saying, all this safety stuff.
And that was a really interesting point you made there. And that's something I learned on my channel and really was pretty interesting. I was doing a series of videos on new truck launches, and somebody commented, they said, all you guys on YouTube and Motor Trend, whatever, and if I can say I'm part of Motor Trend, that kind of group of people, but you guys always talk about how great these small displacement turbos are, but you never talk about why they even do them.
Yeah,
I thought that's a very interesting point. Something I hadn't considered, and something that, look, I've always argued with PR people. Maybe that's because I am, but I've always argued with them, and I've always argued strongly with Ford because they do some things in the PR side that really just piss me off. But they've always talked about how good their EcoBoost is selling and how much people want it. And looking at it now from a consumer standpoint, I know why it sells so well, because the dealers aren't ordering a 3.3 liter V6 anymore.
yeah.
They just get the little 2.7 liter because the incentives are better if they do 2.7 liter, and the pricing is about the same, and people just like the turbos.
Well,
They're not using turbo fuel economy.
And like you're saying, I'm sure Ford's incentives for them to sell that particular vehicle is a lot better for them too, for the dealership side as well.
Rules wise, yeah, I mean it makes more sense. And there are this many people that buy Ford trucks, and this many give a crap about the fuel economy of the EcoBoost.
And to a lot of consumers, an EcoBoost is an EcoBoost. They don't think past. It's just an EcoBoost.
They don't know displacement of it.
There's a bunch of towing capacity, or whatever, and we get great gas mileage. It doesn't. There's kind of like a loss there of the basics between the
it's a marketing slogans. All that EcoBoost is. It told you right from the get-go, I'm better by saying eco.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the truck I'm looking at, I mean, for a business standpoint, I looked at SEO, which is search engine optimization for all these different trucks. And I looked at what the Google Trends, and I figured out who was doing the best, right? So I looked at Ford, Chevy, and Ram were about the three that really do well in search. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do one of those three. And then I thought, okay, well, Chevy, I really like that 3-liter diesel. I'm a big fan of that, but the interior sucks, and the exterior looks – I haven't liked it. It's been 3 years now, or 2 or 3 years now. I just don't like the exterior. And the Sierra, I like the GMC Sierra better, but I don't like it doesn't do as well during search. So from a business standpoint, it's kind of a tough thing to do there, right? So then I looked at, and so I looked at Ram. I love Ram. I love Ram interiors and stuff like that.
Yes.
But the truck is now old, which is weird to say that. But in my world, it came out 2019. Well, it's now going to be 2 years old by the time to get 2021. So this is an older truck. And so I looked at Ford. And Ford's newest thing is the hybrid, so I'm going to buy the hybrid, the Power Boost, whatever damn marketing term they have for this thing. But I'm going to buy this, and it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here, because in the truck world we have two opposing forces. We have the old school V8 guys who they want a basic, bare bones manual transmission truck they can drive around and do work with, and we have the newer generation of buyers. In my view, these are the guys that either want the higher trim level stuff because they have the money, they're not really truck guys, but they're just going to buy the luxury because they want a truck to be, you know, that kind of person.
Right.
Or they want the electric. They want electric because electric's the future, and they're looking at Rivian. They're cross shopping Rivian with the F-150.
Yeah.
They're cross shopping the Hummer EV with this, and so you have these two opposing forces going on. And I can't wait to drive and own the hybrid, because I have a lot of friends who are EV advocates, and I've never been an EV advocate, big pusher kind of guy, because I see I'm too practical for EVs, which really pisses them off.
Yeah.
But I really want to experience this and really say, you know, during the course of a year, did I really get any ROI on this? Did I really save anything on fuel? What really happened here?
Well, and then you find out Ford lies about their fuel economy and all kinds of trouble about that.
The Ram they've been selling hybrids for a couple of years, well, 1 or 2 years now, but they don't call them a hybrid, right? They call it
well. Yeah, right. Yeah. They call it their e-torque. They don't really.
E-torque,
it doesn't. Exactly. They don't push it as a hybrid so much, but yeah, they do push it. Yeah, it's.
I think if you were to call a truck a hybrid, it gives it almost like a negative connotation. I think
it's the whole
truck guys. Truck guys aren't looking for a Prius truck, and so if you call it a hybrid, you're not going to want that because you're a truck guy and you want something, you know, more masculine or whatever. But I don't think there's I've watched a couple of your videos. I don't think there's something necessarily wrong about it. Basically, it's a massive electric starter. we'll call it a giant starter, basically, if you want to call it that. That dumbs down the mind transformation of
it's basically it's a battery with a big giant starter. Yeah, it's got a big battery
that's attached to the transmission. I don't have any problem with a big electric motor attached to the transmission to allow for electric power to be supplemented, especially for all different scenarios. I think it's a great transition or meeting point for combustion engines and electricity, you know, electronic propulsion in trucks. And I don't see a big problem with it. But I think it's cool for the truck market, and I think it's a cool way to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, 400 it's 570 foot-pounds of torque. I think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my God, you know,
it's a big step for moving forward in, you know, whether it's fuel economy or whether it's bringing a ton of horsepower and or torque to a fuel with a fuel economy kind of mixed in there as well.
Yeah, I have so many things that come together. So as a journalist, I'm curious. As a truck guy, I'm curious. I mean, it's like both worlds are meeting at once. And so now I'm like, I really want to get in it and own it and drive it. I'm really hoping to get that, how you want to say, when I say it's generator, inverter, what the hell you want to say it. I've had so many arguments over this stupid thing, but I want to plug stuff in the back. I want to see how it's going to work. You know, I want to plug stuff in. I've had a lot of people say, well, that's a perfect camping rig. You know, if you hook up your trailer, go camping, you have the power there on the back. And I'm thinking, every campsite I go to, buddy, they have this stand. And guess what's on the stand? It's a power hookup. Now you plug shit in. It's kind of how that works, you know. I'm like, I've been to camping sites for a couple years now, and they all have them. You know, it's like, so I don't know about that. I don't know if it's really worth it. I mean, you know, people are like, well, it's only $750 more for the 7.2 kilowatt Power Pro onboard generator. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not, because you have to get the certain engine and package together to get. So they all hide the cost in there.
Oh yeah,
it's all a BS thing. I mean, it's hidden in there for sure. But that's the thing. It's like I knew as my channel, I needed to make a step forward. And when I've looked at other channels and looked at other things people have done, you know, it's always a big step to buy that vehicle and talk about the vehicle, because, you know, frankly, those are easy vehicles, right? Videos, walk outside. I've owned it 30 days. We'll do a 30-day update, you know, and those are easy videos.
Yeah.
But also as a journalist, I've learned that, you know, when I started back in 10 years ago, I was running a Toyota Tundra site, and I didn't know anything about Toyota Tundras at all. Most people say I can't even say Toyota because I can't. It says Toyota, you know. I'm like Toyota, you know. I don't know crap about them, right? And so I went and I bought a Tundra because I thought to myself, how can I cover a truck if I don't own the truck?
Right.
And so I thought with this too, I thought, you know, I get a taste of them with the press loans, but I really want to own one. I really want to get in every day,
and,
slam the doors.
And the press loans
and I've
usually,
never owned a Ford.
the press loans, they usually give you the top of the top trim too, because they want that journalist to be super happy and oh my God, it's got all this stuff. And yeah, you're right that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
part
know
of it. They also told me too.
I know you can
it's easier
get
to not.
you can get some of the lower trims, but so it's like having the like Chevy. Why do they have Corvettes sitting in the showroom? It lures people in. So they're doing the same thing with journalists. They lure. Oh my God, this truck's amazing, and all they're doing is the people that can't afford that. They tease these people with all these nice things, and then they get them in the showroom, and that's where they've got you. For most people, if a lot of people do not think about their purchase, so they see that shiny object in there, and they're like, I want that. They've set their mind that they're buying it until they learn what monthly payment is, and then it's like, well, let's step down a few options.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's going to be over $700 a month for me.
Oh yeah,
probably in the 800 range, maybe in that whatever. I don't like putting much money down because that's all just due to profits, in my opinion. But I'll make the higher payment. I'm fine with that. But, I'm looking at a transaction with insurance. Let's do insurance the other day. I think it's like $900 total. I mean, and that's a lot of coin. Like my first apartment was less than $900. I mean,
my first house payment was less than that.
Yeah. So I mean,
isn't that a trip?
Yeah.
It concerns me from a business standpoint because my concern is I'm buying this in Q4, which from an ad revenue standpoint, your higher quarter because you have Christmas, everything going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the year spending. I want to know what happens in February, what happens in March. But from a business standpoint, I either pay a bunch of taxes or make a truck payment. I mean, it's really a weird place to be in. But I would tell you on the features, and I was talking to a couple of brands about this. I said, why don't you send out lower feature stuff? And from their standpoint, and it kind of makes sense, they'd rather have me not talk about a feature than not have access to the feature, right? So like if they send a fully loaded truck out and I don't talk about the massaging seats, they're fine with that because they got, the review out of it they wanted, even though I didn't talk about that feature, even though the feature was there. But it does factor in when you have I had a guy send me a link to a $75,000 Lariat F-150 with all the thing I wanted. And I was like, no. It's just not interested.
So Tim, what have you narrowed down exactly what you're getting at?
I have, but there was some breaking news this morning that occurred. I got a phone call from my dealer in town. He made 41 phone calls.
Wow.
He called 41 different dealers trying to find a truck for me.
Wow.
And then I talked to Ford, and it turns out the Power Boost is not being built till the 30th of November.
Oh wow! So there's no way you'll get one then.
Well, I'm gonna have 5 weeks of truck sitting dealer lots to be able to buy one.
Right, and everybody kind of
really
wants that feature.
Well, I don't know. I'm Ford and I are working together. I think they're going to cross-reference the manufacturing list of trucks versus what I'm looking for, and I think they're going to find me a dealer. It very well could be a situation where I'm going to hop on a plane and go buy the best truck I can.
Right.
At that point.
Which is for what we do though is that's part of the fun of the story and the story of the vehicle for the whole year that you have it or whatever how long you have it is sometimes the trip is the adventure of getting it is half the fun.
And that could happen. I have to have a super crew. I have a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to. I don't like extended cabs. Why not go a crew cab? That makes more sense. Yeah. I'd like the 6.5-foot bed, but I'm probably gonna have to compromise 5.5-foot bed. Yeah. I mean, it's just what's gonna be. I need the hybrid because from a business standpoint, hybrid makes the total sense. Personally, I'd rather buy the 5.0 liter V8, but hybrid makes more sense as a business standpoint. I need the 373 rear gears. Gets me the better payload, the better towing. Yep. And I would like to have the power boost on the back. And I like the antimatter blue. I'm a blue guy. I mean, blue, so I like that cool color. But I'm willing to compromise there. So I was talking to Ford today, and I said, I'm not asking for this unicorn one build truck. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm asking for a crew cab 4-wheel drive hybrid with a towing setup. I mean, that's kind of the heart of the market, right? I mean, that's kind of where the market's at. And so I feel confident I'll be able to have something. But I mean, at the end of the day, December 31st of 2020, there has got to be a new truck in my driveway.
So
Has
let
to.
me
I have no choice.
let me ask you a question, Tim. Obviously, I'm a red guy. You've seen my truck,
Mhm.
and you're a blue guy. You like the blue truck. What is your this is my thing. I think Ford has one of the best red colors out there. It's a very deep, slightly more maroon, but for the most part, it's a very deep red color. What's your thoughts on that red color? Are you familiar with it?
I've seen it, and I am a big fan of the reds.
What do they call it?
I've seen what you're talking about. I I don't get hung up on color.
Oh
The only
yeah,
color.
you're not.
Here's the thing. I don't care. I don't really care about color. Color doesn't really bug me. I've never really thought much about color. I've had black trucks. I've had blue trucks. I've had green trucks. I've had all sorts of different trucks. The only color I don't care for, and this maybe sounds weird, and I'm sorry to those people that are talking. It says Danny's mic is too low. Turn up your mic, Danny.
I'll
Is
try.
that I don't like gray. Like gray silver looking trucks. To me, they're like fleet trucks.
Yes.
Like why when I do so I could do red. I mean I'm not
They,
I don't
they call
I've
it
never been
rapid
a big
rapid
color.
rapid red, Danny, is the one
Is it
you're
red
talking about.
red?
Yeah.
And I've seen that. And what's so teaser, Jill's this really frustrates me. Jill's first driving impressions F-150 goes live Wednesday. I'm editing the video right now. Do you know what Jill was driving? This is gonna kill you guys. Jill was driving a red F-150 crew cab power boost towing I think it was a 30 some foot camper trailer.
Wow.
And I was like, that's what I want to buy. Like everything. I want the rig. I want the truck. I want the trailer. I want it all. And here she is driving it, and I have to edit the damn video for you guys to be on YouTube.
That I will I for me, usually I don't get really hung up on colors, but I saw that Ford red, and up until I saw that Ford red, I thought that the Frontier red that I currently have, I thought it was the best red on the market. I love my truck's color, and then I saw the Ford, and I got so mad. I'm like, damn it, that's the best red on the market, right? And I get it. It's just paint color, right? It doesn't have a ton to do with
No, but it
the
does.
aesthetics
It does
of it.
back,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I lost my marbles. I thought that was the best red I've ever seen on a car or truck, whatever. It was the best paint color I've ever seen. And I really like red. I don't know what it is. It just hits me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I love that. And if I could get a Raptor in that red, if I was ridiculously rich, then that's what I would do. or a Bronco,
Yeah.
or the top line Bronco. Yeah, that's what I would do. I tried to talk Dave into it. I doubt he'll.
Which
he'll
one?
go with that.
The what Bronco?
The red Bronco.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, that's the plan, Danny. This red that you're
Are you
talking.
getting a red?
Yeah.
F you, Dave. I hope you choke on a. I hope you choke on a pickle.
It's between that and the Area 51 right now. And the wife wants
Yeah,
Area 51.
no.
I want red.
So
Dude, the red is so
the
good.
other truck I was gonna buy was the two-tone Ram 1500 in red. Red with
Oh.
tan on a two-tone.
I'm
There's
not
one-
a huge
there's
fan
one
of
in
that
town.
Ram red. It's all right, but I'm not. The Ford red gets
I'm-
me every time I see it. I go, damn, that's good.
I like two-tone. I thought two-tone was sharp.
Dave hates two tones so much.
Oh my
That's the
God,
funny thing.
it's the bane of my
Dave-
existence.
Dave would take
Well,
a
look at
dump
his
on your
studio.
hood
His
if you
entire
lived
studio
close
is
to
all
him.
black.
Hey, come on now. Here's that.
No,
There.
I don't get hung up on color. It's to me it's like I like the antimony blue, but if I don't get it, if it gets some other, I mean, the silver. There was a silver one I could buy. It was like in Nashville someplace, and I was like, it's silver. I'm like,
Yeah, silver.
it's just
Silver.
it's kind of boring.
But you know, I was talking about this on the Building Bronco series we have going on. So white, silver, and black are the top 3 colors that any manufacturer builds. And me and Kelly were talking about this on a stream, and she said this exact same. She's like, I feel like it's a contractor package color. It's just a fleet color that I don't. Any of those 2-3 colors I don't want at all.
Well, Dave, let me just say this. As an ex BMW mechanic, drink. 90% of the cars I worked on were gray, black, white, and that's it. Like it was like a big joke that was all the colors, and it's the most boring color. I will say, for like an off-roading perspective, like the grays and the whites are absolutely fantastic for hiding damage, and or if you take them out and feed them up really good, you can hide that pretty good. Well, light grays, I say, dark gray, super dark grays, charcoals and stuff like that are terrible for that.
Yeah.
Same with black, but those are like the colors. But then, you just blend in. I'm not trying to stand out. I just want something general. There's nothing exciting about those colors, and I don't I don't dig those colors.
Yeah.
I love. I think the only mute color that I'm into is like the tans and like the battleship grays. But that's more from like my military side, digging like the, oh, I got a tactical vehicle or something stupid like that, like I'm some kind of friggin' tactical guy or whatever. Those are my mute color choices. But if I'm not gonna go with a mute tactical color, the Ford red, my Frontier red has like, and I like Tim. I know you're saying you're not really into the colors. I I geek out a little bit on it because there's a lot of depth, and I think there's a lot of thought that, and maybe we're going too much into this, but there's a lot of thought that goes into those colors, and I think there's sometimes when those paint schemes, like there's a lot to them, like whether it's a flake or the amount of, it's something I geek out on a lot more than most guys would.
Well, I'll say this, that certain colors look great on certain vehicles, and that exact same color looks horrible on something else. Like Bronco versus this. Like I think like the electric blue or whatever they call it. Let's see what they call it. I can't remember. Velocity blue, horrible on the F-150. I do not like it. You put it on that Bronco, and I love it. It's weird how certain colors match body styles better.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thought behind it. I spent a lot of time with Ryan Nagodi, who's the one of the Fiat Chrysler's chief designers, and I mean he does a lot with the interiors, and you can't find a truck guy that doesn't think the Ram interior is the best interior in the market. I mean,
no, by far.
What they've done there. And when I've interviewed him several times, and I've had drinks, whatever, with this guy, there's a lot of thought in there, more than the average person takes it in. Now, bean counters still want black, white, gray. I mean, that's what I want, right? But those fringe colors, and Ram has done a good job with this with some of their stuff. Toyota always has new Tundra's got a new color this year. I mean, they've done some jokes about that, but I mean, there's a lot of thought that goes into that, and it's interesting to be in my place where I'm such a traditional truck guy. I just get in it and drive. I just enjoy driving a truck. I enjoy everything about it, but I don't think about that stuff very much. And doing the job I've done for the past decade, I think about that stuff a lot more than I had before, because I understand how much time and effort there was involved in getting to that point.
Yeah.
And so I do think to some degree that me owning a truck is going to be very good for the channel from that standpoint, because I think way I come across things is different than people on YouTube in some ways. And I think that being able to understand some of the background and having interviews with guys like Pirelli sent me a press release today that they have a new special tire they built for the F-150. They did 2 years of testing behind the scenes to build this tire for the F-150. And I'm like, my initial thought was, I want to do a live stream interview with the truck, with Pirelli's chief designer, and have conversations about what did they do? What did they come up with? And I'm excited about that, because I think that level of depth is missed a lot of times. But I think there's guys like Danny who really think that stuff would be, why did you do that certain tinge of red? Why did you do that certain thing that you maybe geek out about that you can't find out there? It doesn't exist.
Well, and can you imagine for tires, like tire design? There's a basic, there's a mud train, all train for trucks. Like, it's pretty simple. You want the quietest of either one. But they spend so much time on sidewall design now to make them look super aggressive that probably most people would never, ever use the sidewall of a truck tire. Like, just to break that down now, and, like these manufacturers now, they want all these things to look as cool as possible. That's why, like, a Ram has went with the Goodyear Duratrack a lot with a lot of their off-road stuff. They want it to look aggressive, but guess what? It's really more of just a basic AT tire. So yeah, that would be interesting with Pirelli, and why did you why break it down? Why did you do the sidewall this way? And
Yeah, and actually, Tim, you had, and I'm completely spacing on his name, but I hope you will fill this in once I'm done talking. Um, you had a guy on. He has raced a Toyota Sequoia. Now he's in a want to say 6100 or a trophy truck, but he had done a ton. He's a tire testing
Oh yeah, yeah.
race driver or whatever, and loved that show. That was a great show. But there, and after going to the Continental Proving Grounds in Utah and
well, that's
testing
right.
out tires, um, there is so much that goes into the testing of tires for new trucks, and got to see it firsthand. I've driven wet tracks, and the amount, just from my Continental knowledge, testing, the Michelin LTX versus the Continental whatever it was. It's just terrible that I
Good story,
spaced on
Dan.
their
Good
name.
story.
I know, but testing them back to back on the exact same truck, and you go, wow, this is like a 6 foot stopping distance. That's a minute. That's the difference between somebody dying and somebody just like getting scared. But the amount of testing that they take these trucks and they put them, with different tires, and they test them that way. There's a lot that goes into this beyond, whether it's an aggressive looking tire or it looks good or whatnot. Because most people will get a truck and they'll take it out and they'll drive the tires off of it and trade it in for a lease or get something new. That's probably slightly more the standard issue, if you will, for most trucks and
Hey,
or
I
cars
can
these days.
and I can tell you the worst truck manufacturer put tires on it is Nissan with those general garbage tires they put on the Titan. That's the worst tire I've ever had on a brand new vehicle, by the way. I know
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you're referencing my friend Joe Bacall, and I met
Yes,
Joe
Joe
Bacall.
Bacall. There you go.
He worked for Toyota Proving Grounds, and he had cancer. And as part of his, when he got done with cancer, he decided to do some racing, and he's done a lot to elevate that brand, as far as what they can do. And he does a lot of tire testing. He's a pretty interesting guy, and I've been fortunate to be friends with him for numerous years. And so yeah, I reached out to him. We did a couple of videos. It's interesting stuff for me to be at the point in my career where I call my friends and say, hey, can you do a Zoom? I want to talk about this. Yeah, let's do a Zoom. Let's do it. And so
Yeah.
it's cool to be at that point where you have those resources. But
Yeah.
he does a lot with tires, and he's growing his YouTube channel to do a lot more tires because he has that knowledge. And
He
I remember
does.
talking to him once about a Lexus IS, which is their small sports car thing. And he was talking about how many hours they spent on the shark fin antenna on the back of the vehicle, right? So the back of the roof line, as it goes down the back glass, there's a shark fin antenna up there. And he spent just days and days going up and down in millimeters of height, because as the millimeters height would go increase, decrease, it would change the wind disturbance on the track. It would change how the car handled.
Wow.
And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, you guys talk about a shark fin and make fun of it. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. He goes, no, the placement of the shark fin and the placement of the size of it and all that stuff. He goes, that is really intricately detailed and understood. And I remember talking to a couple other engineers, and they're like, they go through all this stuff to get this truck dialed in right. Like the Ram TRX has 35s, but it'll 30, was it? I think it's 35. It'll accept the 37 spare. And the guys are emailing me like, oh, I'm just going to go 37s all the way across. And Ram's like, look, we spent like 4 months working on the 35 like this, and you sons of bitches want to put these 37s on and screw everything up.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, it's like, it's like they design these trucks, and the guys are going, okay, I want to level it out and put a
Yep.
lift on it, and put my own off-road tires on it. I want to tune it.
Well, and that's truck guy in general, man. Truck guy in general always, from the day I was a tiny little guy, my dad put a cherry bomb or something on his truck. He was always looking to tinker with it of some sort.
Yep.
And that's what truck guys are. So, Tim, before we wrap this up, you just brought up TRX, and I was curious because you got to drive that truck now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do a little jump with it and have some fun with that truck. What is that thing? Is that thing really worth the money that you could spend on it? When you look at Raptor, and yeah, Raptor's only 450 horsepower versus that thing at 700. But do you see value in that truck?
From a practical truck guy?
No, not from.
Oh, hell
I mean,
no.
because they're race
Oh,
trucks
hell
is all they
no.
are.
It makes zero sense. It's got payload less than
put it up
1,000. I
put it
mean,
up against a Raptor, right?
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. If you're an off-road enthusiast who happens to live in a southwestern part of the United States, right? I mean, that's really where it's going to be,
Yes.
desert,
Yes.
running stuff, right? I mean, Danny, you go out your driveway, your neighbors have these things. I mean, this is what they're doing, right? If you are that guy and that's your weekend activity, yeah, I think that truck is really impressive. And what I said in the video, and I tried to make to like send it home, like really drive it home, was it's really impressive on road. Like that thing's badass off road.
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's got Baja mode, it's got the tires, it's got suspension, long travel suspension, it's got all that stuff. It's badass. But what impresses me more about off-road trucks is what they do on road, because it's always this pro and con.
Yeah.
You got to
can see
give
that.
up something on road to get the off road, and that thing was so impressive on road that I was blown away by that. Now, you're not that truck's going to be a weekend warrior. You're not going to tow your trailer. You're going to tow that truck. You're going to
Yeah.
tow that. You're going to tow the truck out there to the desert and have fun with it. That's what that truck's going to be. It's a very purpose-built truck for that reason.
I don't know.
It's not something you're going to buy.
I see contractors
to tow and haul.
with Raptors all the time, and I see them squatting, and I'm like, why did you do that to that poor truck?
No, I'm
I
with
think-
you
I
a
think
little
the
bit,
same
Dave, on
argument.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of those guys that like, hey, I run my construction site now, and I'm making some good money, so I'm gonna get like a Raptor and ride it off.
Yeah.
And this is my cool guy truck as well as my work truck. But I mean, Raptors out here in Southern California are like a dime a dozen. You see probably 10 a day or whatever. But
Mhm.
there's definitely a huge market out here for Raptors. I mean, it's bigger than Nissan Frontiers. It's as big as Tacomas, I would say, out here. Almost as big as Tacomas out here.
But my point was is there value in spending, because that's $100,000 truck. It's $100,000 truck if you option it right, and that
Sure.
you're getting into entry level supercar money for what you're getting, and it's a truck in name, really.
Yeah, but isn't that what it is? But
Yeah.
it is. But isn't
Yeah.
that a supercar for a truck? I mean, that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
a
That's
very purpose-built
exactly
truck. I
what
mean,
it is.
I've argued for a long time that there's more damn Mustangs written about being on the track than there are Mustangs on the track.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, it's the same thing, right? I mean, we get more stories written about it, and you actually see them on the track. So that's it's a situation where it's a status symbol truck, and it's very much a purpose-built. It's a super truck. To me, that's what makes truck market so cool, is that you can go buy a red cab F-150 with a 3.3 liter V6. You can go buy a Super Crew 4-door with a $50,000 truck. You can buy a $75,000 limited or platinum, and then you can go buy a $100,000 Raptor or TRX if you do all the options, all the lift, all that kind of stuff. Roush supercharged, that kind of stuff with
Yeah.
these things. And so, where else in the automotive market do you have a situation where you can spend $30,000 or $105,000?
Right.
I mean, that's the only market in the country I've ever seen that has that much of a range,
Mhm.
and it's technically the same vehicle. Some
Yeah.
people still do the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my buddy just bought a limited F-150 with the same motor that the Raptor comes with. He
Yep.
put a little bit of a suspension on it, and he got it like a year used, and basically got it for half the price as what he would have got a new Raptor for. I don't think it has quite the suspension that the Raptor has, but at the same time, he's got just as much motor as the Raptor. He's got a couple more interior upgrades as far as trim and nice stuff. So there's like you can get into something like that for a decent amount of money. I think he probably spent maybe 50 or 60 grand, whereas if he was going to buy a brand new Raptor, you'd be a high above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what are you going to be happy with? For me, I want to be happy with an XLT with a high 302A package. I have bucket seats. I can hybrid. I can test that out. I can tow. I can plug stuff in the back of my truck. I can use a chainsaw. I can use my sawzall at the farm and chop down some trees and shit. So, I mean, that's what I'd be happy with. But you can spend all the way up there. I mean, it's an exciting market to be, exciting market to cover because there's so many aspects of it. And I mean, electric trucks are coming too, so you have a whole different animal going on there as far as
Well, and that was kind of where my last question for you was, so you being a truck guy, electric trucks we're a year away really
Yeah.
from electric trucks being here in force because everybody has an electric truck coming out. From GMC with their Hummer, Ford with the F-150, Rivian, Tesla, like and somebody was saying in Canada they're about to in 2035 gas powered engines have to go away. Will tech in the next 10 years make enough advancements that those electric trucks are just as capable as your F-150 you're looking at buying?
electric trucks are hard for me because what you're saying to somebody, you're saying, in 1920s we went from horse-drawn carriages to Model A to have more, easier driving. You drove a little bit farther, you have to feed the damn horse.
Right.
Then we went to big Buicks and stuff, drive around across the country because they were comfortable to drive in. So Americans throughout the years and people as a nation have gone from limited transportation to now bigger and bigger transportations. Now we're at the point where you can literally drive across the country without your truck breaking down, put gas in it, and drive as far as you want. I mean, we've limited to this point. Now we're going EVs. We're saying, hey, slow down a minute. Let's restrict the amount of miles you're going to drive in exchange for not polluting the earth. And it's like, I understand the argument there, but from my aspect, why are we going backwards? Why are we going backwards in time? I think that's the biggest problem the EV trucks are going to have to handle. And I've been a big fan of hydrogen because hydrogen you can fuel up as fast as you can with the gasoline. Yeah. You can fill up anywhere in the gas stations. So we get infrastructure built. And all. People are like, well, infrastructure should be built. That's the problem with hydrogen. Well, guess what? Same problem with battery electric vehicles. You have the same infrastructure problems. So guess what? Same damn thing. So, to me, it's like people talk to stuff about internal combustion engines can be ended up selling. But that's great from the politician standpoint. But what are the consumers buying? Because consumers are going to drive this process. Ford can't stop building the F-150 or the 5.0 liter V8 tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where the demand is. Consumers will go away. So great. You have these mandates for this stuff, but consumers aren't buying. So what are you doing? You're not changing anything. I think Elon Musk had a really good comment once, and he has his comments, but he said something. He says, if we're ever going to end tailpipe emissions in this country and actually make a difference, we got to make customers want an electric F-150.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make consumers want electric F-150, you're never going to solve tailpipe emissions. I don't care how many sedans that you run with hybrid or electric sedans. Let them make a hill difference because the best-selling vehicles are your trucks. And I think we get there. Battery density is going to get there, but I think hydrogen is the way it's going to be. I think people are discounting that. And I had an interview with the people that charged the Rivian truck at the Rebel Rally. Yeah. And he said in the interview, he goes, we charged it there in the desert. We plugged it in. We did all that kind of stuff. We kept the truck going. But he says, reality is hydrogen is the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys.
Well, because I think they were. Well, I think they were doing some of their stuff for their batteries in that semi was hydrogen based. Like what? Wasn't it something?
They wanted to. The permits wouldn't let them do that.
Okay.
His plan was to use hydrogen to recharge batteries to charge the battery electric.
Hey Tim, what is your projection on who's going to be the biggest new electric truck company?
Yeah. Who is who's
within the next couple of years? What's your opinion on new electric trucks? Who's going to start pushing the market in that, and who's going to be kind of on top for the next few years as far as electric trucks are concerned?
I think it's got to be Ford. I mean, it's got to be, you look at these brands like Rivian's talking about right now, and they're coming out, and that's great. I mean, competition's good, but Rivian's had a few press releases going on about service. Like, how are they going to service stuff? When the Ford launched their Transit a couple days ago, I made a big deal about that. Not that it was electric range Transit, 126 miles. People were pissed off about that. No. The big deal to me was that the Ford already has 600 and some service centers built up for this thing. They already have the upfitters. Ford's ready to include that in their fleets and go. Now, the challenge is going to be is that you're talking about a market that is exploding, but EVs aren't exploding. EVs been stuck at 3 to 4% of the market for the last 10 years. Everybody's like, EVs coming tomorrow. Well, that's been the case about 10 years ago now, right? So the market's not growing for EVs. But you need a full line manufacturer that has service, has name, has quality behind it. They actually push that product. I think the fringe people like Tesla and Rivian are going to still contribute a little bit, but small percentages, and understanding they're going to build at that volume. You're talking about at this point, it's like 7 or 8 manufacturers. You got
Yeah.
Bollinger,
Right.
you got Fordstown, you got Rivian, you have all these people. You're talking about 7 or 8 manufacturers going forward. Probably it's going to be about a 20, 30,000 volume truck market next year
Right.
for EVs.
Well, is it at the end of the day, are these EV truck makers just a tech play where it's your flashy, make you like something that Facebook wants to buy? Is it where they're trying to just push the tech to as far as they can with the little funding they have, and then hope that GM or somebody just buys them out for their tech, and then
Well, and that kind of happened with Rivian, right? So
Right.
Rivian kind of bought them out. I think what they are is they're expanding the truck market. I think traditional truck guys aren't going to buy these products. I think you're having the people that have always kind of wanted a truck, but there's a truck stigma behind it with the smoke stacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those people are going to buy these things. There's going to be, when I look at my comments from people watching my videos and talk to people out there, the people looking for EV trucks are not traditional truck guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know a truck guy who's got any common sense who's saying, yeah, I want to buy an EV truck, because they understand the limits of EV. They understand what's
Yeah.
going on. It's they're expanding the marketplace. So instead of buying the next Prius or the next sedan or whatever, they're going to buy a truck because the truck, people bash trucks all the time, but they understand the truck is like the epitome of the most utilitarian vehicle on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
You can haul people and cargo. You can put a topper on it. You can make a van out of it if you want to. You can use it as a lifestyle vehicle. I mean, it hits all the transportation needs at one. I understand people put a bunch of mulch in the back of their sedan and treat it like a truck. I get it. Not a lot of people do that. I mean, that doesn't happen. So I think you're going to find a lot of people come to marketplace. I think you're going to find a lot of people be disappointed by the lack of response from consumers that they thought there was going to be. And I think you're going to find a lot of people falling out, because the thing that people understand is that EV trucks have been part of this country now for the last 10, 15 years. Look back in time. I did a story on Saseyong. They were a South Korean brand. They were going to build a electric version of it was a European truck. But anyways, they have them in Michigan. Every once in a while, you see them in Michigan, Arizona, because they have some on the proving grounds. We've had electric trucks for a long time. Chevy had electric S10 in 1999.
Wow.
So did Ford. Ford had a Ford Ranger EV back in 1999, 1998, right? So this is not a new thing. People are like, oh my gosh, it's all brand new. It's going to be amazing. We've been trying to do it. Chevy's had a hybrid Silverado off and on for the past decade. You know what happens? It doesn't stop. Right? So, I mean, this has happened. This has come out. But you are trying to convince a traditional truck market that has been historically anti-EV to now accept EVs and buy them at volume that would actually turn a profit.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing.
Well, and then
So I see a lot of excitement, and I see a lot of press releases, and people are like, Tim, you're stupid. People are going to buy these EVs, and you're just being old and cranky. Well, I am old and cranky, but still, the fact of the matter is you're asking a lot of traditional truck guys to now accept newer technology, and these guys are still pissed off about cylinder deactivation in their F-150 and their Chevys. They're still pissed off. I mean, you're now saying, hey, you're mad about cylinder deactivation. You want the old school stuff. You're mad about DEF. You hate DEF. Well, guess what? Go ahead and get in this battery-operated truck that drives like a golf cart. You want that. And it's $15,000 more. Buy it today.
Well, and then the divide between the gas guy and the electric guy is so crazy. Like, because there's so many YouTube channels now of just EV car guys that I try to watch them to stay current on it, and I don't know what half they're talking about. But those same guys look at a traditional channel like this or yours, and I'm sure they're like, I don't know what that means, you know?
Oh, they get mad at me all the time, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate them on the outline, Lander, that kind of stuff. But I think I have to. I think as a truck guy, from my standpoint, I make a lot of opinions and I make a lot of statements. But I think I get more respect for that than saying, "Oh, look, it's a new latest thing." Like I tell people, I have electric trucks right over here. Want to see it? This is my 6x6 electric truck. Man, it's fantastic. I haul rocks with this damn thing.
Yeah.
And it takes like 8 hours to charge it. But I'm like, I'm not anti-EV. I'm just practical as hell. And I just find that this whole movement, and I get left behind this stuff, but it's a different customer. That's the biggest thing. It's a different customer. This is not the same customer. It's not going to be the same person. Yeah. You'll see trucks expand, which is good for me because advertising rates go up because people are going to spend more on advertising for these things. But your electric trucks are still traditionally. I mean, look at the Rivian. The Rivian is got a 5-foot bed. It's a crew cab 5-foot bed with 400 miles of range. $65,000. I can go buy a crew cab base XL for 40 some thousand dollars with the 3.5 with the fuel tank, probably same amount of range, right? I mean, it's a gas tank, whatever kind of deal. So you want me to spend $20,000 more on a truck with a smaller bed, with probably smaller payload because it's going to have a unibody construction, maybe less actual real world towing because I put rocks in my EV truck. Guess what, guys? Battery goes downhill pretty fast. That's how EVs work, right? And so you're asking that. I mean, that's the argument. That's what it all boils down to. You can take the big 15-inch screen or 18-inch panoramic screen inside, whatever kind of bull. But it comes down to day, a truck's a tool for most truck guys, and it just doesn't make sense.
So what you're trying to tell us is that you think the Rivian is the best EV on the market right now.
I think the Rivian's the best lifestyle vehicle in the market. I think they've done a great job in promoting that to say lifestyle. They have. If you watch
Dave, I was right.
They've done a great job of saying that's a lifestyle adventure vehicle, and I think they've done a great job on that. I think it's exciting. I think they've nailed it from the skateboard construction standpoint. Styling is finally decent. I don't know why EV's got to look terrible. I don't know why there's some sort of precursor in the design world. EV's got to look terrible.
Yeah.
I think it's a great vehicle from a lifestyle standpoint. It is not going to turn traditional truck buyers into Rivian on a large scale.
Well, and not
a large scale.
And I've said this for a while that the Rivian looks just weird enough to be futuristic, but it looks just enough traditional truck to kind of try to lure that truck buyer in.
I'm pretty much with you on this, Tim. I think the Rivian is kind of near the closest thing to it. If you're all about the EV and you want to get into an EV truck, that's going to be where you're gonna probably end up. That's where I personally would end up if I was to jump over and want an EV. But again, lifestyle. But it's the heavy duty, hardworking general American isn't going to be jumping into that like you would normally
Tesla,
see, like you were saying, F-150 kind of a thing.
And wrapping this up, Tesla hasn't even proved that their cars can really get any kind of range yet in a practical sense. Like, yeah, you can go across country, but you're damn sure planning every stop. You're stopping every hour and a half to make sure you've got some kind of charge in that thing. And so it's definitely not there. But Tim, we could debate the electric things. That's a whole nother show because
we've done a couple shows on that before, but I'm excited that you have ended up in the same world as me. I'm pretty sure we kind of agree on. I fully agree with most of what you're saying, and I'm with you on the Rivian and all the other manufacturers about where they stand and whatnot.
So
I'm capiche. Yeah, we're good.
So Tim, you're kind of doing this series of videos on this truck, and I believe tomorrow night you do another. You do live videos every Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow at 4:30 Mountain Time. That'll be 6:30 Eastern Time. Fits well before Taco Tuesday. I got to get the tacos in, and so get that show in. But I mess with my timing, but that's kind of my time for that. And I'm doing a series. Some people get a little worn out about it, but I keep kind of updating what I'm doing, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to talk about how I'm buying the truck, because I get a lot of questions about like, what truck would I buy? As an expert, what truck would I buy? And I tell people all the time, I said, my buying needs are so much different than your buying needs, because I'm going to talk about what's going to do well for search engine traffic. I'm talking about stuff that doesn't make sense to you, from that standpoint. But I'm trying to do the aspect of me out there shopping, doing a vlog of when I'm going to buy it, video logging what's going to happen. I'm looking at insurance, looking at resale. I've done dependability stories. I've done a lot of stuff because I like nothing more than being an informed consumer. If I'm going to go buy something, I want to be an informed consumer, understand the pros and cons, understand what I'm getting into, and that's what I always strive for. So I'm excited to see the series going, and I'm seeing a lot of good positive reaction. And I don't know what the next part of the series will probably be, finding one and buying it and going through that process. And I'll be pretty open though. I'm going to talk about what I spent for it, what's going to be the money, what's going to be the monthly payments, and because to me it's a business expense. And the more I talk about it, the more I can prove to Uncle Sam I'm going to write it off. But
That's right.
it's been fun getting people's feedback. I mean, we've done 3/4 ton but half ton discussion. It's just whenever you're buying a truck, more so than I think buying a sedan or a compact car, there are so many more variables involved than you would even consider because of the different needs you might actually have with this vehicle.
Right. And then having a truck long term, you might find out there was a need that you thought you needed, or something about you thought you really needed or would use a lot, and then you always find out I didn't. Like my last Titan Pro 4X, badass truck, never used the locker the first bit in that truck. Just never, but I wanted it. There was things I wanted.
Yeah.
I thought I'm going to have this. Never used it. But I'll be excited to see where you go. I'm excited to see where you, once you have it for a couple months and you go, you know what? This wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Because the first couple months of ownership are always, they're fun, it's exciting, and
everything's new, everything's shiny.
Once you settle in,
I'll be really curious. I'll be curious whether I like the hybrid or not. I'll be, there's a lot of conversation about towing a trailer with a half ton, whether that's going to be white knuckle or not.
I think there's a lot about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of understanding your towing and understanding what your towing capacities are, and I tow differently than other people's tow because I take my time. I'm driving Miss Daisy when I'm towing. If it's windy, I'll stop.
What would you be towing, Tim?
We're gonna, after buying the truck this spring, we're gonna buy a travel trailer. We're looking at about 28 foot to, I think 28 to max. We're looking at about 5,000 pounds dry weight. So I mean, something that's by the book should be half ton towable, but by the book doesn't always equal real life. There's always concerns. I'm curious about airbags. I'm curious about their situations there about leveling the ride out. I mean, there's a lot of questions about that stuff. I had my friend JD from Big Truck Big RV. We discussed it for a little while. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in a situation where it's like, from my standpoint, I could go buy a 3/4 ton, same amount of money, but the search traffic's not there. And so do I do the big 3/4 ton kind of build? Because that doesn't make any sense, because 3/4 ton isn't the same customer as half ton. Half ton customer is not the same as mid-size customer. So it's like,
and it's usually less comfortable when driving not towing. And how many miles are you towing? Right.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of questions there too. So it's like, and I've towed it's funny because I've towed more at events than I ever have in real life, just because at events are like, here, we hooked this up where you go tow.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll go tow this obnoxious thing I never thought about towing. And I towed once with a John Deere tractor. I was like, I've never towed this in my life, but it was cool.
Well, that was the last Titan thing me and Danny covered for Nissan. Like they put Airstream trailer and stuff together and I was just like, look, man, I've towed real things in life. Like I don't need to tow jet skis or whatever we were towing, Danny. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what, I'm good.
It was good for me because I was like, well, maybe one day. I mean, I tow with an Armada, about a 5,000, 6,000 pound trailer, depending on dry or wet. But I mean, for me, it was really nice because I got to tow something that was similar to what I normally tow with my Armada. I got to tow it with a a new Titan, and it was really nice comparatively speaking. The new Titan towed extremely well.
Well, Tim wouldn't know what those Titans tow like because for some reason he can't seem to get one.
One day, Tim, maybe.
Once they get the Gen 3 Titan out, they'll go, hey, Tim, you need that Generation 2 Titan?
Yeah.
Well, Tim, we appreciate... sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
No, go. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing from the trucks world is there's this assumption that people always buy a truck because they're going to tow or haul something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But that's
exactly.
not the case. Buy a truck for reasons. And I tell them all the time, like, hey, do you have 4 people in your car plus stuff in the trunk? And they go, well, of course not. I drive my sedan by myself. I'm like, well, if I drive my truck by myself, it's the same damn difference.
Exactly.
So it's just, I always find that interesting. So I'll be curious to tow and haul and work at the farm, out in the fence line, fixing fence, stuff like that, and just see how that goes. I'm really excited to get to get it going.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, 90% of the time you're in the truck, you're not doing what you kind of, somewhat bought it for. But at the same time, is when you do that with the truck, if you're towing with the truck, you want it to do it really, really well. And so, it's this trade-off. Do I want this thing to do it at the most premier way possible, or do I want to it also to ride well 90% of the time. That's kind of the trade off with an off road guy. Do I want to? Yeah, I drive my off road truck 90% of the time on the road to and from work. But at the same time, this truck has to do really, 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 really well off road. So, do I put the long travel suspension on there? It's the same thing with a towing vehicle. If I put the airbags on, I only air them up when I'm gonna go tow with my Armada. So, it's kind of nice where it rides pretty well normally, and so there's always that trade-off, like how much do I actually tow and how much do I want this thing to ride really well every day. Do I need the 3/4 10, or am I just fine with for me it's probably 10 or 15 times, but some people it's like twice a year that you're towing a trailer somewhere.
Right.
There's definitely a
Right.
trade-off, and it's something you have to weigh when buying a new vehicle, especially if you're planning on using it for multiple purposes. And I think with trucks that's very apparent because you use them for so many purposes.
Yep, I agree.
Well, Tim, we appreciate you being on here tonight, and this is usually this went longer than your shows go. So I know you're over there going, man, I need to refill my cup over there. So once again, guys, Tuesday nights, follow Tim's channel, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. I'm going to say it the wrong way, and I used to mess this up. Here on YouTube, Tim's going to hit 40K subs soon, and that's really awesome. Tim, any final words about your show or anything?
No, I have a lot of fun doing it. My passion comes through, and I just enjoy it. I probably just enjoy it more. I enjoy it more than I think people watch it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with it.
Well, guys, we appreciate everybody being on here tonight. And if you don't know, me and Danny also run the Nissan Nation production side of things. And every Friday night we do a live stream over there, plus Nissan breaking news. And we've got a bunch of Bronco news coming up here this week. So from all things trucks, cars, SUVs, lawnmowers, I don't care what you're driving. If it's got wheels, we're going to talk about it. This is your All Terrain Nation.